he is going to deliver us his presentation. So when he will be presenting, if anybody is having questions, he can post his questions to the system, or even they can post. You can post your questions to the WhatsApp also. So after completing the presentation, we will try to answer all queries of participants. So now, Ms. Dr. Theerawit, we are requesting you to start your presentation.
All right. Thanks for invitation, and I would like to say hi to everyone. Of course, I over here in Bangkok, Thailand, and all you guys will be in India. And I'm really happy to talk to everyone. Thanks for Samir and thanks for Numega for the invitation. First of all, let me share the screen of my presentation first. Okay, let me check my screen is okay and my voice clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Clearly.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start now. Just a second. All right. Of course, I got a request from Numega and from Samir in India. Today, I will talking about energy. Energy, of course, we will talking about how do we manage the energy, manipulating energy and cause concern in broiler feed. This is very important topic because I don't know for sure about the situation over there in India, but over here in Thai, we got a problem about the price of the ingredients, especially for the energy ingredient like corn, cassava, wheat, and oil as well, because the price sharply increased. That's why we have to understand and we have to concern the distribution, the composition of the diet, and how comes of the cost and how we can reduce the cost without the negative effects of the gross performance and the quality of the product. That's why I have a presentation over here talking about manipulating energy and cause concern in broiler feed. And of course, my presentation, we're gonna talk in general. That's why I would like to begin from the basic. And if everyone understand the basic, we understand the fundamental, which is really important. That's why we can go down detail and go for the advanced technique that we can reduce the cost, especially the cost of the energy, without the negative effect on gross performance and quality of the broiler. So this is the outlines of my presentation today. We're talking about energy requirement, talking about nutrient interaction, especially when we're talking about the requirement, we have to take a look at the environment as well, because the environment related to the requirement of the energy. We're talking about the energy ingredients, how to use and limitation of the ingredient. And of course, I based over here in Thai. That's why the list of the energy ingredients would be in Thai base. But anyway, I think it should be the same over there in India, and you can apply the concept of the Thai feed formulation to use with the Indian feed formulation as well. We're talking about digestive system. Okay, that's why I have to ask, because sometimes a technical problem is really difficult. We just try to do it again. Okay, as I mentioned, we're gonna talking about the energy metabolism, talking about the molecular energy, especially the energy that related to protein synthesis, which is the main of the objective, because when we're talking about how do we formulate the diet, we are expect to provide the diet to the animal, and we like to have maximum production. This means we're talking about how to produce the protein, which is need the energy to support during the protein synthesis, and how to minimize the cost, and how do we concern, especially for the energy consumption. And of course, the last one is going to be the conclusion for the presentation. This is the outline of my presentation. But before start everything, I would like to start with this picture. This is the structure of the today presentation. I'm gonna make a conclusion, everything's in this picture. Of course, we can start over here from feed. When we're talking about the feed is the thing that provides the nutrient. When we're talking about the feed, we expect to have sugar, to have carbohydrate, to have the protein, to have amino acid. And of course, in there, we have fat and oil, vitamin, and mineral. And of course, when we feed everything into the animal, it's going to be digest and absorb into the animal body. This is the animal body. So the feed, which is not digest and not absorb, is going to be right here in the feces. That's why, first step over here, we need to understand the digestive system of the animal. That's why we have to discuss the digestibility. That's why we have to study the digestibility, the utilization of the energy in the feed. And of course, we're talking how to increase the digestion by doing something, by adding something. For example, when we're talking about how to increase the feed utilization, we can add the enzymes over here, especially when we're talking about the enzymes, which is increase the energy utilization. For example, we're talking about how to add the NSP enzymes, how to add the phytase enzymes, or how to add the lecithin to increase the digestion of the fat. Of course, we're talking over here. That's why I'm gonna put A to be the first thing over here we have to concern. Of course, we like to have the maximum digestion and maximum absorption according to the raw material, according to the structure of our feed, and according to the cost of the feed. So after nutrients absorb into the body, there are two ways to go. The first one, we're talking about catabolism. The nutrient can change to the energy. Of course, the carbohydrate can change to energy, the fat can change to the energy, and the protein can change to the energy as well. In terms of the economic, what do we expect? We expect just only carbohydrate and fat to be the energy. Why? Because protein is very expensive. We don't want protein go for catabolism because the price of protein is quite expensive when compared to carbohydrate and fat. It's probably 2 times higher. That's why when we provide the energy, it could be enough because the energy go for maintenance. What kind of maintenance? The energy go for some of the activity to make the animal survive. For example, the energy go for respiration, the energy go for how to keep the homeostasis, especially the body temperature. So when the energy supply for the maintenance, the length of the energy is go for anabolism. What kind of anabolism? It's going to be protein. Because when we're talking about anabolism, we're talking about how to increase the protein production. I mean the protein synthesis, because the protein is the target of the product that we expect. We're talking about how to increase the meat yield, how to increase the egg. If we're talking about laying hen, how to increase the milk. If we're talking about the dairy cow. So this is the structure overall of the feed utilization. First, we're talking about how to digest, how to absorb. The second one, we're talking about how to catabolize the energy and how to supply the energy that enough for maintenance and enough for support anabolism, for protein synthesis. That's why I put B and Z over here. How about Z? Sorry, this is the dog. How about Z? Z is mean the energy that go for metabolic heat, which is benefit if we're talking about in the cold condition like in western part. But if we're talking about a tropical country like Thailand or even India, metabolic heat is the thing we have to concern, because the animal need to keep the body temperature, because they are warm blood animal. That's why the animal always need to release the heat from their body. So when we're talking about metabolic heat, it's going to be waste, and the animal need to put the energy to release that heat. That's why if we put the animal into bad situation, for example, if we put them into high temperature environment, the animal need more energy to adapt their body temperature. That's why we have to use the evaporative cooling system to cool down the temperature. So when we do something like that, we can save the energy, because the animal need lower energy for maintenance. This is what I would like to talk in general first. And then we're going to go for A, B, C, and D. First, we go for digestion, absorption. Next, we go for catabolism, go for metabolic heat, and go for anabolism, especially for the protein anabolism. This is what I would like to talk and share to all you guys today. Of course, when we're talking about the diet, the diet provides the nutrient, the diet provides the energy, the diet provides the protein, and we have to put so many things to make a complete of the feed. We have to use the nutritive feed additive. We have to use the non-nutritive feed additive. Of course, what do we get? We get carbohydrate, we get sugar, we get amino acid, we get protein, fat and oil, vitamin and mineral. This is what we put into the animal. And what do we expect? We expect the animal body. We expect the growth of the body. We expect the body weight. We expect feed efficiency ratio. But how high do we expect? Should be according to genetic potential. Because we're talking about the animal, especially when we discuss with broiler, we're talking about modern genetic production. We have the guideline, the performance of the animal. And of course, when we invest the feed over here, we put all the intake to them. What do we expect? Should be according to their genetic potential. And of course, we have to go for cost because we are running the business. That's why we have to concern the price of the feed. We have to concern the cost of energy, the cost of protein, and cost of all the nutrient. We're talking about how to do in terms of quantity of the nutrient. We have to talking about the qualitative of the nutrient, how accuracy, precision, and concern the cost of the feed. This is what we have to expect and take a look, especially when we're talking about the big production, the mega production of broiler, because even we save just a little bit, but you can imagine how big of the feed production. That's why we can save a lot of money if we can save only a little bit of energy. This is what I would like to share and discuss with you before go to deep down detail. Of course, in terms of the energy, what we put into the animal, we put the energy. For example, we put 4,000 kcal per kg. This is cost energy we put into the animal. We expect almost 4,000 kcal per kg has been used by animal, but impossible. Because first step, 1,100 is going to be increased with feces and urine. Because some of the feed ingredients is limited by utilization. That's why some of the energy has been increased with feces and urine. That's why we have to concern what kind of nutrient that's not being used by animal. We're talking about the limitation, especially when we're talking with the single stomach animal. The limitation from the endogenous enzymes for digest protein, digest fiber, digest phytase, and some of the lipid. So if we can increase the digestion of animal, this means we can increase the utilization of the nutrient. That's why we have to take a look the age of the animal. Especially some of the animal, we can expect the high cut fermentation, but in protein, the high cut fermentation is not that much like swine. That's why the difference of the energy from fermentation is not big difference. And we have to estimate the energy value according to the age of the animal. So according to what I have been presenting, this is the figure from the ONRC. Of course, we put the energy over here for 1,000 kcal per kg. And some of the energy increased with feces, some of them increased with the urine, some of them is increased from heat increment. And you can take a look over here. Just only a half of energy is gonna be used by animal. That's why if we can reduce the gap over here, we can reduce the gap over here, and of course we can reduce the gap over here, we can reduce the total consumption of the energy. And finally, we can save the money. How to save the money? How to reduce the gap with feces, with urine, and heat increment? Of course, there are so many techniques. So the first thing we have to understand is the limitation from fiber. When we're talking about fiber, we mentioned over here, good fiber. Good fiber is an old method to explain the composition and amount of fiber, but it's not exactly the good parameter to explain about the fiber, because this is all the fiber, but good fiber just decay over here. So when we're talking about fiber, we're not talking about just only lignin and cellulose. Sometimes we have to discuss hemicellulose and pectin. This is non-starch polysaccharide. And all the fiber over here is not digested by the animal enzymes. This is the reason why when we adding some of the NSP enzymes, we can get the additional energy from this kind of fiber. That's why we can save some money. I would like to talk, for example, when we're talking about the wheat, when we're talking about cassava, or even some of the corn, because some of the fiber in these ingredients, they are NSP fiber. That's why when we're adding some of the enzymes, we can increase the energy from NSP, and we can get the additional nutrient from by adding enzymes, and then we can save the money. It's not just only NSP. Some of the nutrient has been blocked by phytate, especially when we use the plant raw material. Of course, plant raw material is main of the ingredient. We're talking about corn over here, wheat, sorghum, barley, soybean, rapeseed, sunflower. You can see this is the percent of digestibility, and this is the total phosphorus. It can be concluded around 70% of the phosphorus is not available because the limitation from the enzyme. That's why when we adding the phytase enzymes, we can increase the utilization of phosphorus, and we can get the additional nutrient, additional amino acid, and additional energy. So when we're adding the enzymes, we can get not just only phosphorus, we can get the additional nutrient as well. So when we talking phytase, we can save money from reduce inorganic phosphorus and reduce some of the energy as well. So according to this model, I would like to make a conclusion and make sure again, because I have some of the questionnaire research from Thai feed mill. I just sent the questionnaire to feed mill in Thai. I sent to the big feed mills, the capacity more than 25,000 tons a month, or the medium feed mill, small feed mill. I sent both into swine farm, layer farm, and premixer, asking, do they using the enzymes or not? You can see over here, 5 big feed mill in Thai, all of them using the enzymes. The medium feed mill, all of them using the enzymes. Just only small feed mill, just one of them using enzymes. However, another 3 feed mill, they are not the livestock feed mill. They are aquaculture. That's why they not use much the enzymes. How about the farm? They all use the enzymes as well. So what kind of enzymes they are using in their feed formulation? Of course, they use phytase, they use NSP enzymes, some of them using protease, and some of them using the cocktail enzyme. This is the first step. We have to concern how to increase the energy utilization. Because when we adding the enzymes, we can get the additional nutrient. We can save the money. And this is according to the animal requirement. You can see that we have to provide and formulate everything according to their requirement. For example, when we're talking about energy, this is the energy requirement for the starter, cover, and finisher. This is the protein levels for starter, cover, and finisher. This is the amino acid requirement according to the total basis or even digestible basis. So when do the feed formulation, we have to select and calculate all nutrients to meet their requirement. And of course, the requirement should be according to digestible basis. So if we can increase the digestion and utilization, we can save the money. And this is how much we can save the money. I have to say, apologize first because the unit would be in Thai baht, but I think the money language is very easy to understand by everyone. This is the figure I always show to the farmer and introduce them to understand how important of saving the nutrients, saving the money from increase the feed utilization. For example, if we're talking about the energy, every 50 kcal per kg in Thai, we can save around 0.26 baht. I don't know for sure about the unit of your money would be in ringgit, but you can change by your calculator. But anyway, every 50 kcal per kg, we can save around 0.26 baht. This means if we add something to save around 50 kcal, we can save the money. How about the protein? If we save around 0.5% of protein, we always save around 0.4 baht. How about the phosphorus? If we save around 0.5% of phosphorus, we can save around 0.58 baht. This is the unit of the calculation. But the power of saving would be according to the market situation. Why I say something like this? Because in the past, we're talking about 15 years ago, no one cared about phosphorus because inorganic phosphorus is quite cheap. No one talking about how to save the money from the energy because the oil is quite cheap. But now everything changed. The price of the energy source is very expensive. The price of oil, especially soybean oil, palm oil, or even rice bran oil is quite expensive. The price of inorganic phosphorus, we're talking about monodicalcium phosphate, dicalcium phosphate, or even monodicalcium phosphate, the price sharply increased. That's why even we can save just only 0.5%, save just only 50 kcal per kg, we can save a lot of money. This is the concept I would like to share and make understanding between you and me. And then we can go for how to save more of money by reduce the nutrient, increase utilization. So according to what I has been presenting, this is the cost of the feed. And of course, the feed the kids come from protein source, energy source, nutritive feed additive, and non-nutritive feed additive. Today, so many nutritive feed additive has been launched into the market. And of course, we need to take a look what kind of nutritive feed additive that's related to the cost of the feed. Because when we put something into the feed, what we expect to have better in terms of the performance. We can save the money. We don't want to put everything into the feed and the price increase. And of course, we like to put something and make a final price decrease. That's why we have to discuss how do we manipulating the energy and how do we concern the cost. Because finally, the cost of the feed is going to be the biggest proportion in terms of the production cost. Okay. So we're talking about the energy. I don't know for sure in India, but over here in Thai, mainly we use corn to be the main of the energy source. And of course, we can produce the corn in our country and we can import some of them from our neighbor. We can have the local corn, but some of the corn is infected by mycotoxin. This is one of the things we need to concern. Because if we use the good quality of the feed, it's not any problem. But when you use the bad quality, this means you're going to get a little bit toxic. This means the animal is always need the energy to release that toxic. So if you put something into the feed and some of the things that you put in there become the toxic, even it's a little bit, but animal is always need more energy. That's why sometimes when you calculate everything according to the concept, but the performance of the animal is not such that good because the energy needs additional energy to release the toxic from their body. This is the concept as well. Not just only corn. We can use the broken rice. We can use the cassava. We can use the wheat. And of course, we have to import wheat, especially wheat from Europe. And of course, some of the wheat in Thai come from India as well. So the next one, this is the new alternative raw material in Thai. Of course, you probably know in Thai, we produce a lot of rice. We export rice, but we have no specific breed of the rice for feed. That's why Thai government try to introduce the new breed of feed for new breed of rice for feed. Sorry. So many research has been focusing for using feed, using the rice for the feed because some of the limitation, especially fiber in the rice, is become the limitation of the utilization, talking about the cost, talking about how to grinding the whole grain of rice using for the animal feed. So the next one, we understand that the animal need the energy. We understand where the energy comes from. We understand if we can reduce the total energy consumption, we can save the money. But we have to understand the animal. We have to understand the chicken. Chicken is the warm blood animal. It's like a human. It's like everyone. We are the warm blood animal as well. What does it mean? We need to keep homeostasis, especially the body temperature. We need to keep body condition, pH. We need to keep everything become to the normal range. And of course, how to keep the body temperature to be constant is always needs the energy. This is the typical body temperature of the chicken. It would be around 40 degrees Celsius. However, for the new hatch chicken, is around 39.7 degrees Celsius. It's a little bit hot, right? So when we're talking about the energy, talking about temperature, we have to understand how to balance of heat production and heat loss, because it is very important for the tropical condition like Thai, like India, and some of them if you run your business by open house system. We have the reason why we have to change from open house system to closed house system, because we have to manage the heat production and heat loss. Where the heat production come from? It's come from animal, especially come from anabolism. You can see that modern genetic produce more heat because they produce more protein. They do more protein synthesis. That's why they need more energy, need more nutrient, because they gain more protein. This is the metabolic heat production. And some of the heat is come from catabolism, especially protein metabolism. Some of the heat come from fermentation, especially gut fermentation, which is very serious if we're talking about swine, if we're talking about ruminant. So another heat is come from the ambient temperature. This is the heat production. And how the animal reduce their heat, how they do heat loss. They do radiation, which is limit. They do convention. They use the wind chill effect. We have to use the fan speed. That's why we have to put the energy into the house. The animal can reduce their heat by conduction, which is limit because the area is limit. Some of the process, especially this is the typical physiology function of animal to reduce the heat. The panting to bring high temperature from their body out to the environment by panting. But after panting, they lost the energy. They're gonna get the metabolic disorder, which is strongly affects to eggshell and quality. The evaporation, this is the main concept of panting to reduce the heat. So according to this model, they need to balance between heat production and heat loss to make constant of their body temperature. That's why we have to understand, if we're talking about early hatch or young animal, we have no any problem with the heat stress because of what? Because the metabolic heat is quite low and heat loss is quite high. This means the efficiency of heat loss is quite good because their metabolic heat is low, their heat production is low, and their body is quite small. So that's why we have to give them the additional heat. Why we have to give the additional heat? Because we need to make balance between heat production and heat loss. If we not put the heat over here, the animal need to burn the nutrient to increase the body by the nutrient. That's why when we put the energy source into the diet, this kind of energy is not go for protein synthesis, it's go for maintenance first. So if we give them the additional heat from brooding, we can help them and the animal can use the heat from nutrients to support protein synthesis. That's why the brooding during the hatching is very important. So this is look like a normal concept, but it's very important because if you not give the additional heat into the animal, they could not survive. They need to burn all the energy from the diet to be the heat, to increase the heat over here, to make balance between heat production and heat loss. How about the mature chicken? You can see this is their heat production is quite high because they grow up, they produce more meat, they burn a lot of diet, they have high efficiency to grow, but their heat loss is quite low. What do? Of course, if we could not help anything, we got the additional heat from ambient temperature. The animal need to reduce the heat production by reduce their feed intake, which is the result in reduce the growth rate. This is the problem. That's why if you like to produce the bigger size of animal, especially in the tropical country like a Thailand over here, or even in India, you have to give them, you have to provide the evaporative cooling system to help them release their heat from their body by using the evaporative cooling system. This is very important. So when we're talking about the how important of the environment, I have the results from university. I make a compare when we're talking about how do we run the trial under the open house condition. The problem is it's not the beginning. You can see the performance over here. This is the standard of the performance. This is the results from the trial in terms of body weight. I have no any problem with the body weight. It looks good from day 0 to day 31. We have very good in terms of the mortality, because mortality is quite low. The body weight is good. But the problem is after 31 days, when the body size bigger and bigger. And what's happened during the open house condition, the temperature is quite high, and we got very high percentage of the mortality. That's why we have to understand how do we manage the energy requirement and how do we manage the environment in order to reduce the negative effects of the heat. Because when we're talking high ambient temperature, strongly affects in both performance and the carcass quality of the animal. So another bad negative effects, when the animal get into the heat situation, the panting. What's happened of the panting? They lost carbon dioxide after panting. When the carbon dioxide lost, they lost carbonic and hydrogen, which is lost the acid-base balance. That's why when we're talking about panting, it's going to be the problem for respiratory alkalosis. The pH of the blood increase when the animal panting. So it strongly affects, especially in laying hen, and always affects to the broiler as well, because the animal need more energy to adapt their body in order to adjust the body pH to be the normal range. Okay, this is the results from our research farm. I made a compare the environment from with open house system and evaporative cooling system. You can see over here, this is the maximum temperature, minimum temperature, and average temperature of open house system. And when we change to evaporative cooling system, we can decrease around 6 degrees Celsius. This is very good to animal. And of course, we can reduce the energy consumption of the animal as well. And of course, some of the technique, especially over here in the tropical condition, the maximum of the temperature of day temperature would be in the afternoon. That's why we have to reduce the feed intake very early in the morning in order to reduce the negative effects of the energy from digestion and metabolism. That's why we have to manage the feed intakes of animal in the morning and let them eat again in the afternoon, because the temperature of the day decrease. We can do some of the nutrient management for reduce the negative effects of the heat as well. This is the detail, and not go much for the detail. But when we're talking about the metabolism, you can see that when we're talking carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism, even protein metabolism, they need the micronutrient, especially vitamin and trace mineral. That's why we have to provide them according to their requirement. So we're talking about A over here, talking about B over here, talking about Z over here. The last one, I'm going to talking about anabolism, which is related to the protein metabolism, especially the protein synthesis. So when we're talking about protein synthesis, we have to understand how the animal produce their protein. It must be according to their genetic, because they're going to do transcription from DNA to RNA, and from RNA they do translation to be the protein. And how the animal produce or synthesis the protein, they synthesis the protein from amino acid. They bring amino acid and link together according to the mRNA, and mRNA produced according to their DNA. That's why when we're talking about protein synthesis, we need amino acid. Where the amino acid come from? It comes from protein. And we always need the energy, because the protein synthesis is always needs the energy as well. And the energy of the protein synthesis must be a second priority. The first priority of the energy must be go for maintenance first. After maintenance, is go for protein synthesis. What happens if the energy for maintenance is not enough? The animal have to use protein for produce the energy, because the energy required from maintenance is very important. That's why even you use pretty high percent of protein, but if the energy content of the diet is not enough, the animal need to change the protein from diet to be the energy first. So when we discuss about protein energy, we have to concern the cost. This is what the input in terms of the feeding and farming. We like to reduce the cost over here. We have to understand the energy need for protein utilization, protein synthesis, sorry. So the output is the production cost. When we're talking about protein, we need to provide amino acid according to the genetic of the animal. Of course, if we don't care about the cost, we can use high protein. If we can find the raw material which is high content of protein, like fish meal, pork meal, or even protein meal, we can use them. But some of limitation, for example, in Thailand over here, we like to use fish meal, we like to use pork meal. But if we produce the chicken, produce the broiler for export, they're not allowed using the animal protein source. That's why we have to use just only soybean. We have to use rapeseed meal, have to use palm meal, for example, because they are not allowed using the animal protein into the animal diet for export. And some of the reason, because fish meal, pork meal, or even protein meal is very expensive, we can balance amino acid by adding synthetic amino acid. This is the list of the synthetic amino acid we add into the diet. We can add lysine, we can add methionine, and methionine can change to cysteine. We can add threonine or even tryptophan according to the amino acid requirement. So when we're talking about protein synthesis, the protein synthesis need the energy. And how to transfer the energy? The energy transfer is come from creatine. Creatine is the basic of intermediate to transfer the energy in the muscle. So when we talk about the creatine can change to the phosphocreatine and go for energy metabolism. That's why if we're talking about the protein metabolism, it needs creatine to be the energy support. So when we're talking about the protein synthesis of the animal, it always needs the creatine. Where the creatine come from? It's come from the animal protein. Of course, if you use high content of fish meal, you use high levels of protein meal or even pork meal, you're going to get the creatine. But due to the limitation of using animal raw material, the price, that's why we can get low levels of creatine. How do we solve this kind of problem? We have to get the additional creatine. But the problem, the creatine is not stable. That's why we have to use GAA. GAA is guanidinoacetic acid. It's not creatine anymore, but GAA can change to creatine. But how the GAA change to creatine is quite complicated because they need enzyme. They need the methyl donor. That's why if we find some of the GAA, which is the complex GAA that's combined together with enzymes combined together with methyl donor, which is specific condition, we can give the specific GAA and change into creatine immediately, which is very important. Because if you take a look over here, the creatine from GAA is go to the vessel, is go to the energy metabolism, which is very important because the energy metabolism support the protein synthesis. And of course, if we can get the additional creatine, we expect that we can reduce the total consumption of the energy. That's why we have to study the creatine, because we have to go for protein, because protein is our target. Protein is come from amino acid, but they need energy to bind them together, to link them together. Why GAA? Because creatine, as I mentioned, the low solubility, low bioavailability, and the price of creatine is quite expensive. That's why we have to go for GAA. GAA is one of the feed additive, is a precursor of creatine, and is very important for the phosphocreatine metabolism, and is quite safe in terms of using. So according to what I has been mentioned to you, we understand the energy concept from absorption, digestion, the energy concept from catabolism, heat, metabolic heat, and energy concept for protein synthesis. We have to understand so we can estimate the total energy consumption. And if we manage the energy from digestion, adding some things, adding enzymes, of course, we can get the additional energy. We change the environment, should be support the goals. Of course, the energy needs to lower energy consumption. We add some of the creatine, of course, the GAA. We can reduce the total energy consumption because the energy support the protein metabolism. So we're talking about first concept over here, ingredients, digestion by adding enzymes, utilization, homeostasis by adjust or improve the environment. We go for protein synthesis. We do the anabolism. We balance amino acid. We check the creatine levels. Especially, we go for GAA supplementation to support protein synthesis. That's why I have one of the research checking about NTPB, which is the commercial name. This is the GAA. But this kind of GAA is a combined GAA because they bind together with enzymes and methyl donor. And of course, we have one of the research trial in the university from Bangkok. We test with the commercial broiler, and this is the result. You can see that when we reduce the energy, we still got good performance when adding NTPB into the diet. Even we reduce our energy from the diet, and we can improve the FCR of the animal. Not just only FCR. You can take a look over here, especially for the protein for outer breath of the chicken, when we adding the NTPB, we can increase the protein yield. We can increase the protein synthesis of the animal. And of course, when we reduce the energy, we can reduce the abdominal fat of the animal as well, which is the benefit in terms of the carcass quality. So, and finally, we make a conclusion that when we're talking about NTPB, which is the specific form of GAA, it significantly improves the carcass growth, carcass yield, decrease abdominal fat, and NTPB in low energy diet result in increased the growth performance, similar to the conventional diet. So, and finally, I would like to make a conclusion. When we're talking about how to do a feed formulation, we have to go for the correct nutritive value from ingredients. We have to do maximize feed efficiency by using feed additive. We have to provide everything according to their genetic requirements, because we need to go for maximize their genetic potential. And one of the things we have to take a look for the cost, because it's very important. Even you do everything perfect, but your cost is not go for the real situation, it's going to be fail. That's why finally we have to balance between science, between nutrient, between digestion, utilization, and the business, because we are talking the business. We're not just talking with the nutrition. That's why I would like to make a conclusion again, because we are running the business. We're not running just only nutrition. We're not just running the science. We have to go together, science and business. Thanks again for your attention. And if you have any questions, it would be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Theerawit.
Yep.
I think you have presented very nicely, and now we will take a question and answer session. Just before that, I will take approximately 8 to 10 minutes to share something.
Okay, I saw one of the questions from the text box. Can I answer this?
Okay, I think we will answer later. Just
okay.
Just I will present only 3 or 4 slides.
Yep.
I would like to share about this NTPB. Regarding this, NTPB is a global patent product from Numega Nutrition, and actually it is not only GAA, but it is a combination of GAA plus transferase enzyme and methyl donor. So ultimately it becomes activated GAA. And particularly when we are using only GAA, then many times birds are under stress conditions, and we are all GAA is not able to get convert into creatine. So when we use the NTPB, it performs better than GAA because it has got the complete that molecular complex of GAA, then transferase enzyme and methyl donor. And we have done many trials also in comparison to GAA, and we have got the better performance than only using GAA. So this is what I want to share. Now we can take a question and answer session. Dr. Theerawit.
Yep.
Yeah, now you can take a question and answer session.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I want to ask one question, sir. Am I audible, sir? Hello.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, sir. Myself, Dr. Prashant Singh, at present working as a technical manager in CPF India Private Limited. That is a bank, Thailand-based company, sir. Actually, I think that you also know that. Sir, my question is, first of all, that really nice presentation you have given. That because this presentation directly related to the farmer. And the main question of the farmer is to reduce the cost. And you have given very nice presentation. This really reduce the cost of production for the farmer, gives a lot of profit for the farmer. Thanks a lot for that, sir. Now comes to my question, sir. Sir, in the initial slide, you have mentioned that brooding temperature you maintain around 40 degrees Celsius. That comes around 102 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The thing is, when we work in the field now, so suppose what we are telling to the farmers, we have to take care that what should be the future 2 steps, that what we are telling is that cause any disease or something else. My question is, suppose we are increasing 40 degrees Celsius temperature in the brooding. Okay. The thing is, if we making this type of temperature, this will definitely increase the humidity. And initially, at present, in the winter season, that temperature is around 8 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius at present. So we are maintaining the temperature. So increasing the temperature, it will increase the humidity. So whatever the litter that the farmer is using, it is already wet. And because we know that every time sunlight is not available. Okay. So with that, with this increased temperature, it will making a good conditions for coming of many diseases like E. coli, like cocci, because all this coming in the wet litter. So my question is that really necessary to increase that much of 40 degrees Celsius temperature, or we can reduce also, sir? That is my question actually.
Okay, it would be really nice question, and of course, they're not exactly the something like a manual to go for that way. And of course, you are right. We're talking about 40 degrees Celsius of body temperature. This is the temperature of the animal body, but in practical, we have to take a look. And of course, first 10 days is very important to give them brooding, to give them the additional heat. But we have to take a look their behavior. Of course, if they go close together, this means they need more heat. But if they go away from the brooster, that's why we would say that the heat that's too much. That's why we have to always adjust and adapt the brooster every time. For example, in Thai, especially in the Q2 and Q3, the temperature is very hot. We brooding just only on nighttime. On daytime, we just don't give additional heat because heat outside is too much. And of course, maybe after 10 days, sometimes 7 days, we can just remove the brooster. But it's not go like this in the Q4, which is the temperature is quite low. That's why I would say that I have no any the specific manual or specific answer to go. But every time when we're talking about how manage, we have to take a look the animal behavior, especially the behavior that decay is too hot or too cold. And we have to always adjust according to the environment. But according to my experience, the brooder maximum just only for 10 days, and sometimes just only 7 days, and sometimes it's need just only on nighttime. I mean the Thai condition. But anyway, the humidity over here in Thai is not such that high. I don't know for sure about the condition over there in India. Yeah, this is a little bit different. This is what I would like to share to you. Okay, thanks.
Actually, the thing is, whatever the body is generating their heat. Okay, we are giving the that phosphorus you are telling, that is a really good thing. That what we learn in the biology, that is the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Phosphate is a very good source of the energy. Okay, but according to the practical situations, the phosphorus is inversely proportional to the temperature, because phosphorus itself, they are creating a good energy in bird's body. If we talk about the human's body, okay, they are creating good energy. Definitely, if the energy is high, okay, definitely the cost of the production will get reduced, because if birds having the good energy, good uniformity, good body weight gain, and that is what the farmer. But if we talk about the temperature regarding with this, so both are inversely proportional. So that is my question, that if both are inversely proportional, so how we have to maintain according to bird's body temperature, or what normally temperature that at present we are giving 90 degree Fahrenheit for the brooding temperature. So that is my question. We have to focus on the brooder temperature, or we have to focus that what energy we are giving to the birds. That is the thing, sir. That is my question actually.
All right. But usually we go for something like almost 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah. But anyway, as I mentioned, we have to adjust according to behavior. And one of the things we have to prepare before the chicken arrive to the farm. This means we have to brood maybe 10 hours before chicken arrive, because it's really too something like very too easy to release the heat from their body, because the size is quite low. Yeah, it's quite small. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, sir, understand. So really, to be very frank, sir, it's a really very good thing that we have heard that being the phosphorus and all this, we can increase the energy of the birds and we can reduce the cost of the farmer. That is the main issue. That what the farmer wants, that to reduce the cost of production. Then only he will gain the profit. That's a really nice presentation. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for that. No?
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. One more question from Dr. Sunil Yadav. He's asking how much energy we can take in total of cocktail enzyme, emulsifier, etc. in feed formulation.
Okay, this is also the good idea. It's a good question, because according to my experience, if you use perfect ingredients, for example, if you use just only corn and soybean, it's no more substrate. That's why the energy is pretty low. But if we talk about the commercial feed, this means you use a lot of the alternative ingredients. Total energy not come from NSP enzymes, phytase enzymes, including the emulsifier, and we go for just maybe 80 to 100 kcal per kg. This is the typical total energy we use in the feed formulation in order for the metric calculation. But we have to take a look the real value of energy from ingredients first. Yeah, and of course, if you use more alternative ingredient, we have much more potential to increase the total energy from the matrix, but usually we go for 80 total. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But sir, regarding with this, Dr. Sunil sir, question regarding with this, sir, the thing is, what we know, suppose we are giving 100 kcal energy. For an example, 100 kcal energy we are giving. So what is the net production energy in case of laying eggs? It may be eggs. In case of broiler, it may be muscles mass. So almost 30 to 40% it goes into the net production, because most of the energy it goes into the digestible energy. It goes wash out from the body. Some of the metabolizable energy, gas formation, and that of urine and feces. So the thing is, sir, what is the actual energy needed? For an example, if we are giving a starter for pre-starter for 10 to 12 days, okay, so on an average, that how much energy is needed for that? Because in the initial time, the birds, we know that it is the day one and it comes almost from the HD, so they don't have that much of energy. Okay, so they don't have that much of energy, and after that, what energy we have to give? Because all the things that we have to give that from the outside, that manually we have to give the energy. The first question is how much energy we need for that. The second question is, suppose if everything we are giving from the feed, that means energy we have giving and most of the things we have reduced. So alternative sources for the energy we are giving, will it increase the cost of feed, or it will remain same, or it will decrease? That is my question, sir.
Okay. The first one, of course, I not exactly mentioned to you yet. We'll be talking about 80, 100 kcal is would be based on the metabolizable energy base. This is the typical base we has been introduced into the feed formulation. And so when we change from the metabolizable energy to net energy, and will be around 70%, this is a topic, typical value we has been introduced into feed formulation. But usually in Thai, we use just only the metabolizable energy. Net energy has been introduced to some of them, but not much in terms of protein. Okay. I don't know for sure about the second question. Could you repeat again? I don't get that.
Sir, my second question is, suppose we are giving the extra energy for the phosphorus enzyme or something else we are using to reduce the cost of farmer. Okay. Now my question is, suppose we are giving alternative energy in the feed. So will it increase the cost of feed? Will it remain same or will it decrease?
I don't know for sure about that. Sorry, but anyway, if we're talking about enzyme, is common. It's become the community now. We're using a lot of enzyme, especially NSB and phytase enzyme. And of course, if we're talking phytase, we can reduce the inorganic phosphorus, and we can get the additional energy and additional amino acid and protein from the phytase enzymes as well. Yeah. Okay.
Theerawit, there is one more question.
Yep.
Dr. Atul Deshmukh is asking, what to replace with NTPB?
What is
give on top, or any means any replacement we can do?
Do you mean the alternative of NTPB?
No. What to replace with NTPB means when you are talking about the energy reduction. So what can be replaced with NTPB?
Oh, okay. How much of energy?
How
right?
you can manipulate? Yeah.
Okay. I have been study from 100 kcal per kg. The result is quite okay. And then according to my presentation, we go for 200 kcal per kg. The result is always okay as well. But anyway, we have to understand the condition and the basal of the energy in the diet as well. So according to my experience, if you go for the commercial feed, we start with 100 kcal per kg to be the model for replace the energy when using NTPB. And of course, we have to take a look not just only for the body weight, because the benefit of NTPB mainly focus on the protein synthesis. That's why we have to go for and take the protein deposition in their body as well. Yep.
Right. And there is one more question. Due to high temperature in brooding, dehydration and pest events observed in chicks, what is your comments?
Okay. According to my experience, dehydration is happen during the transportation of the chicken to the farm. That's why we have to move them from hatchery to the farm as soon as possible, and we have to something like leach them to the water as soon as possible. And of course, we can add some things into the drinking water, especially the soluble vitamin, in order to reduce the metabolic disorder. If you remember diagram that I has been present to you, they are using a lot of vitamin, and the chicken use the fat which is deposit in their body to be the main of the energy source. When we're talking about fat metabolism, they need more vitamin B. That's why we have to use the water-soluble vitamin in drinking water first day when the chicken arrive to the farm. And totally we mix the vitamins 3 or 7 days, because the vitamin help the chicken to release the energy from their body reserve is coming from fat. Yeah.
Right. One more question, Dr. T. Hariharan. Which stage can we use NTPB in broilers?
Okay. The target of NTPB is supposed to be according to the protein synthesis, right? So when we talking about protein synthesis, is happen every stage of age. That's why if I would like to recommend, we have to put NTPB all times of feeding, especially during the maximum protein synthesis. This means during the young stage of animal. But anyway, we have to continue unto slaughter because protein synthesis is always running all their life. Yeah.
One more question. What is the ideal ratio of energy and lysine, and how it will affect the bird performance in broiler and layer?
Okay. According to my experience, we go for the requirement according to the manual guideline. And for the ratio, of course, we need to adjust according to the condition of the house. For example, if we run the chicken under the open house condition, we need to use more energy. This means the ratio is changed. But anyway, if we use the evaporative cooling system, we can reduce the total energy content in the feed. That's why we can adjust the CP per ME or even lysine per ME according to the condition of feeding. We not just feed, and we have to change according to the environment condition.
Right. I think questions what I received is completed. Anybody else? Any participants who want to? We can have a last 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes. We can.
Yes, sir. One question is there, sir. Suppose we are getting the chicks from the hatchery. No? My question is, suppose from the hatchery it is coming to the farm. So is it necessary to start feed as soon as possible as the birds come to the farm, or we have to wait for some time? It may be half an hour, or 1 hour, or 2 hours, sir. That is my question, sir.
Wait for what? Sorry.
Sir, my question is that suppose chicks are coming from the hatchery to the farm. Okay. So my question is, as soon as the chicks coming to the farm, so is it necessary to start feed immediately to the chicks, or we have to wait for some time? That may be 30 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours.
Oh, okay. According to my experience, start with drinking water first. Start with drinking water, and then we go for they go for it immediately. That's why we can start immediately both, but we start with water. We just practice one of them how to drink the water, and then the rest of chicken will be follow. And then we can start drink gonna be like this immediately after the chicken arrive. But anyway, when the chicken arrive to the farm, we just pass them into the box first. Of course, we pass them like that into the box to just relax them. But after put them into the house, start eating. This is I would like to recommend. Yeah.
One more question from Dr. T. Hariharan. Could you please explain the evaporative cooling? How to?
Okay. You mean the evaporative cooling system house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the typical of the boiler house in Thailand. Of course, we have the fan. We're gonna start with the fans first. The fan is pull the air out from the house. This means if the temperature increase, the fan run. The temperature is go down a little bit. So the air is come from another direction of the fan. The air pass to cooling pad. The cooling pad, we use the water, drop down the cooling pad. So the air pass to the cooling pad. That means the air pass to the water. So when the air get into the house, they bring the water come to the house as well. When the water touch down to the animal, they're gonna bring the heat from animal out from their body and go away from the house by the fan. So that means the system of evaporative cooling system start from fan first. And if the fan could not reduce their body temperature, it's going to use the water through the cooling pad. Yeah, this is the typical system of the evaporative cooling system in Thai. But anyway, according to my experience, if you produce more size of chicken, maybe the evaporative cooling system, how is may not necessary. But anyway, in Thai, due to we produce big size of chicken, big is mean 3 kg, 2.5, 3.5, for example. That's why we have to use the evaporative cooling system, because the ambient temperature in Thai, especially the summertime, is quite high. The chicken could not survive. That's why we have to use the evaporative cooling system. So when we use evaporative cooling system, the one more benefit, we can put more animal per 1 square meter. That's why we can reduce the total production cost. Yeah.
Right.
Sir, it is, sir, one more. Sir, is it possible only in environmentally controlled house, sir, not in open house? Huh?
Sorry, I couldn't get that.
This evaporative cooling, whatever you are talking about, it is possible only in the EC sets, environmentally controlled house, not in the open set.
He is asking, Dr. Theerawit,
Yep.
It is possible in EC house only or in open house also?
Oh, okay. Some of the open house system, they use like a water spray in the fan, right? But usually, if we're talking about the open house, talking about evaporative cooling system, how in Thai is a closed system. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what I mentioned. We use the closed system. Yep.
So this last 2 minutes, I was missing that slide. So you can see this is the patented area where this means the GA, transpresence, and methyl group all together makes a one complex, so that GA can easily get converted into creatine, and that's why it performs better. This is one of the trial conducted. It is in Indonesia. This NTPB is compared with two renowned company who is manufacturing GA, pure GA. And you can see that NTPB is the winner. It is giving better performance than only GA. This is also one Indian trial we conducted with comparison of GA, and we have found that NTPB is performing better than only GA. This is the third trial, India trial. Just I have presented. It is compared with negative control. Here I wanted to show you is the FCR is improved, but at the same time, you can see this second bottom line that dressing percentage has also increased. So it shows that it increased the meat yield, more meat yield by using the NTPB. So this is all about. I think we should conclude now. Thank you very much, all participants, for listening carefully to the presentation of Dr. Theerawit and me. And I am also very much thankful to Dr. Theerawit for giving your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with participants of India. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you very much as well.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.